Greetings everybody, Dan here, and I would like to introduce you to this little series dedicated to Super Smash Bros. Well, with the announcement that Smash Bros. Ultimate is going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch this December, lately I've been considering doing something like this to contribute, going through each of the Smash Bros. Games while giving my own personal take on each title as they come and go. Now granted, this is not the most original thing in the world, I mean this is YouTube after all, but fingers crossed I'm able to make this marathon worth your while. So with that said, let's get this underway, starting with the original Super Smash Bros. On the Nintendo 64. So it's 1999 and you hear this peculiar title for the Nintendo 64, Super Smash Bros. A seemingly strange game at the time, and rightfully so. I believe this was around the time fighting games weren't exactly all the rage anymore, and given this is featuring Nintendo characters duking it out, yeah, we got some questions here, people. A little history as to how we got here to begin with. The legendary Masahiro Sakurai was working with Iwata on a bit of a passion project under the title Dragon King the Fighting Game, and honest to god I'd butcher the phrase if I tried to say it in its original Japanese. They were on to a great idea here, a 4-player fighting game that take advantage of the N64's capabilities. But something would have to be done in order to give that game just the life and atmosphere it's been needing. And from there, the perfect idea hatched. So Sakurai pitched a demo including Mero, Donkey Kong, Stairs Facts, and Metroid to the big boys at Nintendo, and from there, the rest was history. Fun fact by the way, the game was codenamed Pepsi Man at one point, given the models had a metallic feel to them akin to the likes of the then popular mascot of the same name. Kind of funny actually, and now all of a sudden I feel like having some myself. It was quite an approach for Sakurai, and it's a great thing that it paid off, because this would be the game that would set the pace for every given generation Nintendo comes across. Without getting too carried away, let's hop right into the one that started everything. As the game opens up, it wastes no time getting right to the nitty-gritty of the concept. All these iconic faces of Nintendo collide in this massive universe to kick names and take ass. It's really bizarre, and it's a weird concept when you think about it, considering this is Nintendo we're talking about, and given their approach to violence and fighting games at the time, probably explains why they start the game off with them being dolls and toys coming to life. An idea that's more ironic to this day and age when Amiibo is a thing now. The game starts you off with 8 characters to choose from, with 4 being unlocked by performing certain conditions in single player, such as knocking out targets with every character to unlock Luigi, or beating the 1-player mode as fast as possible to earn Captain Falcon. The unlock conditions are right to the point and don't waste any time if you're all for this kind of grinding. And you know, the fact that these are the characters that stick with us all throughout the generations of Smash is really worth saying something. It really speaks volume to how far we've come over the last 20 years. But that's for another time. Funnily enough, my memories with Smash Bros. Can be summed up as the game that introduced me to all these Nintendo characters that I wouldn't have known about otherwise as a kid. Now aside from Mario, Yoshi, and Pokemon as I remember getting into the anime, I had zero clue who all of these other guys were. So a majority of my childhood was spent going, who's this green guy with the sword? Or, oh cool, a metal fighting robot! Or, oh, that Mr. Falcon Punch is so awesome! Yeah, I was a dumb kid back then. And honestly, I really owe it to this game for shedding light on everyone they brought forth, as over the years, these characters would grow onto me. I'd come to love the fast-paced racing of F-Zero, and Star Fox 64 would become one of my favorite video games of all time. In a sense, I'm really thankful I got to experience them all with Super Smash Bros., as it motivated me to really check them out for myself and do years worth of homework to keep myself familiar with these faces as the years went on. Anywho, on to the game. The gameplay is pretty easy to pick up on, surprisingly enough. A lets you attack and punch around, you can fight in any given direction, perform smash attacks, aerials, all that good stuff. B is where all your special abilities come into play. Every character has 3 specials, standard, upward, and downward. You can shield, dodge, grab, throw your opponents off the ring, and taunt at those who persecute you. Standard controls overall, and the real challenge is actually mastering said controls to come out on top against everyone you play with. Up to 4 people can play, as par for the course for the Nintendo 64. And this is where I feel the game truly shines. Just something about picking these characters up and fighting them out with your friends just felt so amazing and at the time really refreshing. Of course, at the time of this game coming out, I didn't know that many people growing up who love video games as much as I do, so most of my time playing multiplayer was spent with family and siblings, playing one-on-ones against my brother and pretty much winning every given time. I also like the addition of items to keep battles fun and exciting. Koopa shells, invincibility stars, home run bats that result in instant KOs, Pokemon on by the dozen, hammers to bash everyone around with, to name several of them. These are generally for people who really want to have a party game to remember, what with the items resulting in many insane shenanigans that occurred during battle. However, that's not to say I don't like to get serious every now and then, usually fighting one-on-one battles and turning off items whenever I can. For now, I'm gonna put a pin on this topic as I feel we're gonna come back to it in the future. As far as single player content's concerned, what you see is pretty much what you get. There's a training mode for you to practice your skills so you know for sure how to play, 2 bonus mini-games which I'll be delving into soon enough, and the 1-player game mode, which is reminiscent of the arcade mode you'd see in fighting games like this. This mode would set the course for the rest of the Smash games as it would evolve into what we know as Classic Mode. Essentially, you go from one stage to the next, fighting off every character in their respective levels and stages, varying from one-on-ones, fighting groups of a specific fighter, team battles, and the like. Spicing things up are the mini-games and bonus stages known as Break the Targets and Board the Platforms. The former is pretty straightforward. You smash a set number of targets on the arena before time runs out, and the latter has you stepping on platforms scattered all over the place. Not to mention a little obstacle course called Race to the Finish, where you do exactly what the name implies. Run all the way to the finish line at the bottom while dodging baddies and obstacles in your place. It's these little touches that make him feel all the more special, you know? And at the end of all this, you fight a giant hand as the final boss, known as the Master Hand, an iconic figure who'd stick with us for every iteration of Smash. And at the time of this game, it was pretty staggering. This hand you were greeted to at the beginning is the big bad pulling the strings at the end of your journey, going through countless battles against Nintendo's All-Stars to put this boss in his place. Felt pretty awesome playing through, and I'm really glad this mode would stick with us as every new Smash came and went. However, this is really all that Super Smash Bros. For the 64 has to offer. Aside from the multiplayer and single player experiences, there's not a whole lot of content to write home about. Of course, that makes sense with this being a Nintendo 64 game. Not to mention, this game was the first of its prime, so it kinda makes sense that you can't really expect a whole lot from it. That's not to say this is a bad game by any means. Plenty of great memories came from this game, and I still find myself coming back to it whenever the mood's just right. As it is, despite not really aging all that well, Super Smash Bros. Is, and always will be, an innovating, fresh, and fun game to play overall, and I'd gladly recommend playing through this again for all time's sake. At the end of the day though, this is really only the beginning. Next time, we're gonna look into something many people treasure like I can't even begin to wrap my head around. We're gonna have a lot to talk about then. Till then, this is Dan, signing out. Thanks for watching, I'll see y'all then.